what makes it good for the homeowners makes it bad for some of the other people in the industry.
And why areas are still not fixed and why it feels like it's a third world country.
Before you even consider hiring a lawyer, you need to talk to a public adjuster. Louisiana has, by far, in my opinion, the best laws for homeowners in the country. But if you're asking me, in my professional opinion, not trying to be biased because I'm a lawyer, and I get that people will see that, but in Louisiana, I would not recommend hiring a public adjuster.
Today we're in Lake Charles with a lawyer, Tommy. 20 months after Hurricane Laura hit this area, we still see blue tarp roofs. We see huge devastation in the area. Tommy, what the heck is going on here?
What's going on is insurance companies are taking advantage of the local Lake Charles community.
20 months after, it's still a fight. Is it a David versus Goliath fight, or playing field is getting leveled?
It's David versus Goliath, but the good news is Louisiana has, by far, in my opinion, the best laws for homeowners in the country to take it to these insurance companies.
I've heard that before, but even if we have best laws, why we're still dealing and why areas are still not fixed and why it feels like it's a third world country?
Sure, I think a lot of it has to do with education. Hiring a lawyer is intimidating. Hiring a public adjuster is intimidating. People don't want to go through that process.
So what's happening with all the players, public adjusters, insurance companies, what's happening? Do we pull permits here? Is it regulated? Who is in violation of the law if law is so good?
Right. So what makes it good for the homeowners makes it bad for some of the other people in the industry. For instance, public adjusters. I'm licensed in Louisiana and Texas, okay? In Texas, I don't even touch first-party claims. I can't. The law is too bad there. If somebody comes to me in Texas, I'll tell them, look, before you even consider hiring a lawyer, you need to talk to a public adjuster. In Louisiana, it's the opposite. First, I tell people, look, you don't need to hire a lawyer until you're done fighting. Fight with the insurance carrier as long as you can, as hard as you can, until you just hit that breaking point where you're not getting any more improvement or they're not going to tender any more money to you.
How's that fight going for the homeowner? What are roadblocks and rejections homeowner usually experiencing before he hires a lawyer?
It's tough. It could be a number of things. I mean, it could be just anything from undervaluing the claim or them sending out not a public adjuster, but an adjuster who's been on the job for 3 days. They probably took some mediocre class and they get sent out into the battlefield and they come and have a house with $200,000 worth of damage and they write a scope that says, there's 30 or 40,000 worth of damage. I mean, it could be a whole number of things that goes wrong.
In Florida, we have insurance companies going out of business, blaming storm chasers, blaming everyone else, door knockers. Do we see it's happening here?
Yeah, we see some of the smaller insurance carriers going into receivership. So what that means is when they identify that their liabilities are too big, they go into the possession of the state. Louisiana takes over the claims, and ultimately it's the taxpayers who get screwed because these insurance carriers were mismanaged.
Give advice to the homeowner who've been denied in a claim or just struggling with the next steps, like roadblocks. Because 20 months. We see containers here with the possessions in it, with the blue tarps, 20 months after.
Right.
When is it going to end?
Right. So obviously, and again, I tell clients when they come to me, I say, look, do not hire a lawyer. I tell them, do not hire a lawyer until you've given up, because I want you to push as far along this process as you can, because once a lawyer gets involved, it's going to take a lot of time, right? I wish I could say something different, but my job isn't to get somebody money fast. It's to get them the most amount of money. And unfortunately, the legal process just isn't fast. But if we're in Lake Charles, where we are right now, we're 20 months after the storm, your prescription, your time to be able to bring a claim is only 2 years. So here in Lake Charles, there's a little bit of pressure on the homeowners to say, look, either you have to bring a claim, you have to file a lawsuit, or forever hold your peace. And that's coming up in August. Now, if we're on the other side of the state for Hurricane Ida, which my firm has a New Orleans office as well, then they have time. They have at least 18 more months until August of 2023 to decide whether or not they need to bring a claim.
What about public adjusters? Good, bad, ugly? Do we need them? When do you bring public adjuster? Before lawyer? Who comes first? Who comes second? When do you have to have one?
Sure. So again, if we're in Texas, I'm telling you, you need to hire a public adjuster before you talk to a lawyer. Hands down, almost every time. In Louisiana, it's the exact opposite. I've had a lot of clients. We've handled hundreds of these hurricane lore claims in the past year or 2 years or so. I have public adjuster friends. I don't want to demean the profession. Just in Louisiana, the laws aren't there for the public adjusters. They really have no leverage against these insurance carriers. Now, what makes it so great on the lawyer's end is the law carries penalties and attorney's fees for all late payments after 30 days from satisfactory proof of loss. The public adjusters can't get into those penalties. And also, if you read the letter of the law, public adjusters can't charge a 10% commission. They cannot do this on a contingency fee. It has to be straight hourly. There are some public adjusters who will tell you, yeah, well, I'll cap my hours. I'll charge you $300 or $400 an hour, but I'll cap it at 10%. That's a way to get around the contingency fee. That's actually inappropriate, and that they technically can't be doing that as well. So what ends up happening is these public adjusters get involved. They don't provide very much value, and then the homeowner, once the lawyers get the claim, whether it's me or any other lawyer in Louisiana, we have to then resolve the public adjuster's interest in the claim too. And again, I don't want to be mean to public adjusters, as they just don't add value. And I would tell that to public adjusters' faces. I mean, we have public adjusters who recommend or send us business, and that's because they can't get the job done. And now I can't tell them not to, I can't tell clients, I can't solicit clients and tell them not to hire a public adjuster first. But if you're asking me, in my professional opinion, not trying to be biased because I'm a lawyer, and I get that people will see that, but in Louisiana, I would not recommend hiring a public adjuster. In Texas, I would.
Describe the labor force here. What kind of contractors we have? Do we have a lot of out-of-state contractors, licensing, not licensing, storm chasers?
Yeah.
Chucking and trucks? Who's doing the work?
So it comes in waves. Obviously, right after the storm happens, storm chasers galore. And we saw the results of that. For every 10 good storm chasers, there's one bad one. And unfortunately, they're the ones who get all the bad press. I mean, I've had some clients who've had given $25,000, $30,000 to contractors that they never saw again. So it just depends. Here in Lake Charles, we're 20 months after Hurricane Laura. There's not really so much storm chasers anymore, but the downside to that is now we're seeing a labor force. It's hard to get contractors. I have clients who need to make repairs, but all the reputable contractors in town are 6 months out or 7 months out or even longer than that. So the labor force is an issue now that everybody's left.
Give me one recent story, someone you settled, one of your cases.
Sure.
Who you helped guide me through the process.
Sure. We've resolved quite a bit of cases. I can go through the entire spectrum, and I can get into why the law is so good here. But I have a case, $440,000 policy. Before our clients hired us, they got paid all $440,000, and this is under their dwelling coverage. So this excludes, contents and all that kind of stuff, which I'll get into. But so $440,000 policy, their house looks like a bomb went off. It doesn't exist. It was a pound of, just a big pile of rubble, okay? The way Louisiana law works is these insurance carriers have to pay within 30 days of satisfactory proof of loss. That's the key phrase, satisfactory proof of loss. So the question is, how do you prove satisfactory proof of loss? And that depends on the type of coverage. For dwelling A coverage, there's case law on point that says that clock starts the day they inspect their house, okay? So the insurance carrier comes out and inspects. They don't get paid within that first 30 days. It really takes them probably about 75, 80 days to get paid everything, and they get paid all $440,000. Well, they paid late, they underpaid on ALE, they underpaid on contents, which we got involved with, and we ended up resolving that case for an additional $550,000.
Wow. Guys, this guy right here is 10 times more popular on YouTube than myself. Follow, what is it?
Attorney Tom on
YouTube. I'm going to put links below. Can I get your commitment to answer questions on this video?
Absolutely.
ask your questions away. Go down in the comments, say something nice to lawyer here, Tom, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
All right.